listening, keep learning. The Tom Daniel Show. Keep listening, keep learning. The Tom Daniel Show.
You're listening to The Tom Daniel Show, and I'm your host, Tom Daniel. Well, here's something a little different today. I've been doing this show for a while now, and I love every episode. This is actually my 70th episode. Thank you. You like me. You really like me. One thing I've always envied about other podcasts is the Mailbag episode. Now, that's the moment when the host turns the floor over to the listeners and lets their questions drive the conversation. It becomes a dialogue where the host stops talking at you and starts talking with you. So today, that's exactly what we're doing. The questions have been coming in, and normally I reply directly through email. Today, I'm going to do my best to answer 10 random questions selected by Mary Mac. Good grief. And we've got questions about the show, about Southern music, about specific episodes, and a couple that I genuinely did not anticipate. Now, I have not seen any of these questions until now. All right, let's get into it. Question 1 comes from Karen W. in Huntsville. She says, Tom, how did you come up with the idea for the Tom Daniel Show? And what made you decide to focus on music and Southern culture? Well, Karen, the honest answer is that the idea came from my wife. Basically, I talk her ears off every single day around the house, talking about music, talking about the South, talking about whatever musical rabbit hole I fell down that week. And at some point, she figured out that if she could redirect all of that toward a microphone, she might actually get some peace and quiet. So she suggested the podcast. I launched the show, and her ears have been grateful ever since. I'm not sure mine have, but hers certainly have. Thank you for that question. Question 2 is from John P. in, Rio de Janeiro. Cool. He says, in your episode on American music being Southern music, you mentioned trap music coming from Georgia. Can you expand on that? It seems like an unexpected entry on that list. Hey, good question, John, and you're right. It sticks out on that list. Trap music came from Atlanta in the late 1990s, and the name itself comes from the slang term trap house, and that's a place where drugs are sold. The music grew out of that street-level experience in Atlanta's rougher neighborhoods, and it developed a very specific sound. Heavy 808 bass, rapid hi-hat patterns, slow, menacing tempos, and lyrics that documented trap house life with unflinching detail. Now, T.I. is generally credited with bringing the term into mainstream consciousness with his 2003 album, Trap Music. And artists like Young Jeezy and Gucci Mane built it into a full-blown genre. Now, today, artists like Future and 21 Savage have carried it into the mainstream, and its influence is all over modern pop music. So, yes, it belongs on that list. It's as Southern as anything else, born from a very specific Atlanta experience. It couldn't have come from anywhere else. Now, question 3 is from Charlotte in Savannah. She says, I grew up in the South and never thought much about front porches as a cultural institution. Your episode on that topic genuinely changed how I think about my own childhood. Do you have a personal front porch memory that inspired that episode? Yes. Charlotte, I'm so glad that episode resonated with you because I've got the most vivid front porch memory. And it came rushing back to me while I was writing it. See, it was a warm evening, just after supper, and we were all sitting on the front porch. Now, my father was playing Church in the Wildwood on guitar. My aunt was nearby, hands busy with something domestic, the way Southerners have always multitasked with music in the background. And I was sitting right there, my little red-headed self, absorbing everything, the way kids do. And then Barney said he was going to go home, have a little nap, and then go over to Thelma Lou's to watch a little TV. Wait a minute. That's not my memory at all. That's the Andy Griffith Show. Man, don't you hate it when that happens? I apologize, Charlotte. I'll get back to you if I ever locate an actual memory of my own. Question 4 is from Bill T. in Liverpool. Wow. He says, what are your biggest influences as a communicator? You have a very distinctive style that doesn't sound like most podcasts. Well, thanks, Bill. And there are actually 2. One of them is Bob Sanders, who was the morning DJ on our small town radio station WAUD when I was growing up. Bob Sanders had a gift for wrapping a little nugget of history or context around every song he played. I learned a lot of rest of the story type material just from listening to Bob Sanders while eating breakfast or getting dressed for school. He never made you feel like you were being lectured. He just made everything a little more interesting than it was before he opened his mouth. Now, the other influence is Carl Sagan. Now, he's my North Star when it comes to how I approach each episode. I try to explain music and Southern culture the same way he explained the cosmos, with genuine wonder, without condescension, and with the belief that the audience is smart enough to follow you if you find the right door into the subject. Now, I try to use his model from the TV series Cosmos to reframe my topics without dumbing them down. Now, Sagan, who I met personally in Tuskegee, by the way, was a genius at finding the access point for very complicated ideas and making them feel urgent and human. Now, that's the standard I'm trying to meet. I don't always get there, but that's the direction I've pointed. Thank you for that question. Question 5 comes from Savannah in Charlotte. She says, have you ever considered doing a Tangled Roots episode about someone in your family tree who was actually celebrity-level famous? Well, Savannah, no. But now that you mention it, that's a genuinely good idea. I have done episodes featuring Chief Opechancanough, who was the uncle of Pocahontas and a distant grandfather of mine, and another episode about the notorious Indian fighter John Coleman, also a distant grandfather. So I've kind of been in the neighborhood of famous, but celebrity-level famous. And I do have a few of those in my tree. There's my 10th cousin, Zelda Sayer, the infamous wife of F. Scott Fitzgerald. My 5th cousin, President Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah, there's that guy. And then my 9th cousin, good old Lizzie Borden. Yikes. So an axe murderer, a president, and a jazz-age socialite. That's a pretty solid starting lineup. So who knows? Maybe one of them gets an episode. You're listening to The Tom Daniels Show. We'll be right back.
What are you waiting for? The Tom Daniels Show. What are you waiting for? Oh, the Tom Daniels Show. What are you waiting for? The Tom Daniels Show.
Welcome back to the Tom Daniels Show, and I've got to say, only Mary Mac could turn a mailbag into a musical event. Mary Mac is the world's most perfect band. Now, we've been working through our listener mailbag in this episode, and we've got 5 down, 5 more to go. So let's keep moving. Question 6 comes from Delaney C. in Mejia, Texas. She asks, how does Mary Mac decide which style to play for each episode? Do you give them direction, or do they have creative freedom? Hey, wait a minute. Mary Mac got to choose the questions I'd answer? And they chose a question about themselves? Oh, I did not see that coming. Well, Delaney, here's how it typically works. I'll have a creative meeting with Rip where I give him the topics of upcoming episodes, and then he takes it from there. The musical decisions are made collectively by Mary Mac, and I do not intervene. That's their litter box to play in. I just wait to be surprised, because Mary Mac is the world's most perfect band. Question 7 comes from Susan K. in Memphis. Your episode on the concerto was the first time classical music ever made sense to me. Are you planning more episodes on classical music? Well, Susan, absolutely yes. One of my driving motivations as a music teacher is to show people how to listen to classical music and appreciate it. Maybe not like it. I mean, I'm not going to promise you a conversion experience, but understand it. There's a big difference between hearing music and listening to music, and classical music rewards listening more than almost any other genre. So yes, more is coming. We've barely scratched the surface. Question 8 comes from Boudreaux T-Boy in Baton Rouge. You mentioned in your Southern music episode that New England never developed its own musical culture. What do you say to all those Yankees who talk about jazz musicians who came from the North? Well, Boudreaux, that episode was, of course, not about musicians. It was about the music itself. And every genre on that list was born in the South. Without question, some extremely celebrated Northern musicians played jazz brilliantly. Nobody's disputing that. But jazz as a style of music was born in New Orleans, not New York. And when the blues moved up to Chicago, when jazz found an audience in New York, when the Great Migration carried black Southern musicians northward, the northern cities that embraced, commercialized, and profited from those forms received all the cultural credit for it. Everyone just kind of conveniently forgot the music's point of origin, which, if you think about it, is a very Southern grievance. And yet here we are, still winning. Question 9 is from Barb H. in Ames, Iowa. Do you have a favorite episode so far, and is there a topic you've been sitting on that you haven't tackled yet? Well, Barb, picking a favorite episode is kind of like picking your favorite cat. I mean, you're not supposed to do it. And if you do, you got to keep it to yourself. But if you back me into a corner, I'd probably pick the Greensleeves episode. Because the journey of that melody from a Tudor-era tavern song about heartbreak to one of the most beloved Christmas hymns in the English language is just one of those stories that feels almost too good to be true. And yet every word of it is documented history. That one still gets to me. As for topics I've been sitting on, yes, there is one. I've been quietly putting together an episode about why certain songs get permanently stuck in your head. There's actually a legitimate neurological phenomenon with a clinical name. It's called involuntary musical imagery. But you probably know it better as an earworm. So scientists have studied this. There's a genuine brain science behind why you cannot get Baby Shark out of your head for 3 days straight. You're welcome, by the way. And question 10 comes from Dominic C. in Stark Vegas, Mississippi. Dadgummit, I've been there. Ain't much there except barbecue. Anyway, Dom says, my wife and I got into a friendly argument after your Yankee Doodle episode. She thinks the British were just teasing and didn't really mean it as a serious insult. What's your take? Well, Dom, your wife sounds like a lovely person. I'm sure she's right about most things. But on this particular matter, she's dead wrong, and you can tell her I said that, with the greatest possible respect, of course. The British were absolutely serious. This was not friendly ribbing between allies having a laugh. These were people who genuinely considered American colonists to be an embarrassing collection of unsophisticated country bumpkins who had the nerve to live on crown land while acting ungrateful about it. I mean, the song called Americans crybabies, hicks, and effeminate simultaneously, and then instructed that it be sung through the nose in a country drawl for maximum mockery. Now, that's not teasing. That is carefully constructed musical weaponry. The fact that the Americans eventually turned it around and threw it right back in their faces is one of the greatest acts of cultural judo in history. But let's not make a mistake about what it originally was. Tell your wife I said she owes you one. And that's our mailbag. 10 questions, 10 answers. And I gotta say, I enjoyed that a lot more than I expected to. There's something about being asked a question that forces you to figure out what you actually think. You can't hide behind the outline. So if you've got a question you'd like answered on a future mailbag episode, you can always send an email to thetomdanielshow@gmail.com. And if you want to make a request for Mary Mac through our Listener's Choice feature, drop that in the comments as well. It has to be a Southern genre. Rock and roll is fine. Polka is not. And if you want to get creative and blend two Southern genres together, even better. See if you can stump the band. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for listening. And thank you for caring enough about this music and this culture to want to dig a little deeper. And this has been the Tom Daniels Show. Keep listening. Keep learning.
Keep listening. Keep learning. The Tom Daniels Show. Keep listening. Keep learning.